All right, let's talk with Dave. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Jan.
How you doing?
Well, I'm a little stirred up.
Why?
Well, this morning you had supposedly conservative Tony Blankley on telling us that he wants to bring back the draft.
Yes.
Well, I'm a lifelong Republican and a conservative guy, and Tony is a living example of why the supposedly conservative GOP is dying. He's literally putting the government before the people. So he's talking about being for individual liberty.
Right.
Well, don't tell me you're all about individual liberty and freedom when you want the government to have first right of refusal to my children.
Yes.
He's talking about strengthening America, and it sounds to me like he's more interested in strengthening the government than strengthening America.
He sees those two things as the same.
Well, that's a problem that we have in America, and that's a problem that we have with government, and that's a problem that we have right now with the supposedly conservative GOP.
And he labels himself a nationalist. I've thought about this and thought about that. I think that is a form of idolatry. Nation worship is just as bad as any other kind of false god.
Yeah, I find it chilling. Think about that mandatory service, but that's a contradiction in terms.
Yes, it is.
And as a genuine freedom-loving, small government American, I will fight mandatory service of any kind. Well, and I won't conscript others to join me in this fight.
He was a Ronald Reagan speechwriter, and he worked for Newt Gingrich, a press secretary for those guys. And his view is pragmatic. He starts with, and I was just thinking about this, he starts with the end goal. Okay, here's what do we want to achieve? All right, and he wants to achieve victory in a war. That's a noble goal. He wants to achieve a rebuilt infrastructure in the United States. That's a noble goal. All right, now what are the weapons at our disposal to get there? And I'm thinking that's looking through the wrong end of the telescope. Well, because if you actually have constitutional freedom and live in a government, you don't have to ask yourself those questions.
Well, that's right, because the government isn't what makes America great. It's Americans that make America great.
I'm not so sure about that either.
Well, I think that was the original intent. That's where we started, and I think we need to return to those principles.
Well, the principles are whether you're great or not, you don't have a choice of you can't cost shift either your greatness or your liabilities to your neighbor.
Yeah, to anybody, precisely.
Yes, and if you have to carry your own sorry keister, out of necessity, you'll have to be self-supporting. And if out of necessity you have to be self-supporting, that's not a virtue. It's just the way it is. You don't have to be moralistic if you don't have any other choice.
Well, then we need to rise up as Americans and defend our God-given freedom that no government and certainly no court has the authority to revoke.
Maybe maybe we can get a grant for that.
I don't think so, and that's why I joined Campaign for Liberty, so we can fight anti-freedom, big government nonsense like this. We can't expect to have limited government at home while we're spending trillions policing the world and nation building all across the globe.